oh, I've been following you from like, what's your channel name? Like, oh, I don't comment none. That's like, so you have all these people that are in the community, but you know, it's like, and that was one of the things that I think was important. I remember sharing this with a friend that it was important that I started going live stream because sometimes I think because I'm so straight to the point and like very like, you know, very direct in the videos, people don't know my personality and or like, am I so serious that I wouldn't get a joke or, you know, stuff like that. And so the live element was important to kind of just open like, no, it's like, you're fine. We can have a conversation. I'm not that hardcore in that sense, you know, as far as communication. So it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, it definitely seems like your working strategies. Like, so what do you think about that? Because I got so many things I'd like to ask you
about. What specifically?
Just camera nerd. Well, I mean, just camera nerd stuff in general. But well, based on what you just said, what do you think about YouTube helping you along or hurting you relative to streaming versus uploads? It appears that, I don't know, it seems like the algorithm kind of like, if you stream a lot, it wants to keep you streaming.
It's not really like, so I think that's a misconception when it comes to YouTube, simply because most people, they don't know or aren't either following somebody or friends with somebody that is like that nerdy or that up with YouTube to understand what's going on behind the scenes, in the sense that they assume like you're always having to figure out what it wants and then just feed the machine, as it's, you know, often said, and that's not the case. So it's not an upload versus live streaming and like you got to pick which one kind of a thing based on what YouTube wants. YouTube is mostly trying to find an audience for what you're creating. So when you find a vein of content that, and just like a lane of like what you're into for a season or whatever, okay, well, that's all you're doing. It's like, okay, well, let's go find people that like this kind of stuff, and they start sharing it out from not just like your subscription tab and all of that, but even community posts that maybe somebody else shares your stuff out, or it's going to the home tab, it's coming up in the suggested or the up next and stuff like that. Or like, if you like this, kind of like in Amazon, if you like this, or people who bought this also bought that. They're trying to figure out who to pair you up with when it comes to people watching your content. So when it comes to live stuff, and it's the difference of too, for that pain point, curiosity, whatever that intrigue is around your video of why somebody would click. When it comes to YouTube, most people like if I have a like windshield wiper blades, for example, real life story, getting off work, needed to change my windshield wiper blades because it just started to like sleet outside. Okay, well, before then I hadn't paid any attention that they had gone bad or like had curved at the bottom. So I don't do this often enough to remember how to change the windshield wiper blades. So I go to YouTube. It's not my normal thing. It knows the kind of stuff I usually search for, but it is going to try to find, number one, relevancy when I enter a search. My main point of the searching for this video is because I have a right now problem. I don't want to do a live stream about here's what all the technological advancements are in the motor industry, about what, like, I don't even care. Like, just this make, model, car right now. 2-3 minute video. I found it on instant, like, great, thanks. I'll never come back to the channel until maybe next year when it's time to change it again because I forgot. So YouTube is trying to figure out, is it this kind of a thing, or is it like, let's really have a conversation about why you don't see automotive creators of color, or, you know, being pushed out on YouTube. That's a conversational moment. That may be like podcast like time. Whereas if I'm looking for a right now solution to something, then I'm looking for that, please give me the 2-3 minutes, and I don't want to hear about extra stuff. You know what I'm saying? Give me an option to like, so I know you only came for this one video. I always like to speak to the elephant in the room. It's like, I know you probably only coming for this one video, but let me tell you why you actually need to watch my whole series on the 2007 such and such, you know, whatever. Then that's like, oh, okay, maybe I should learn. But that wasn't part of the video. It was just like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, in and out, you know, kind of a thing. So it's not a live versus uploaded. It's really about the viewer's intent.
I see. Interesting. I've kind of done myself somewhat of a disservice because, and that's, I don't even know if I should speak on this, but sort of the sector, so to speak, that I even know Nick from, it's a little bit limited in some of the reach and the discussions, or I should say, it's not necessarily in the wheelhouse of the things I do, like on a day-to-day. Like, I'm basically camera nerd, motion graphic nerd, but you know, there's sort of like a certain Black YouTube sector where it's just kind of like Black community issues and whatnot. And I've, you know, came up in that space kind of was my training wheels for even kind of dabbling in YouTube. And the whole time it's like, I want to talk more about the camera stuff and the kind of stuff I do in real life. But then it's kind of like, no, we just want to talk about arguing back and forth with women and these kind of things. So, yeah. So in a sense, I tried to like pivot my content more in a different way. And I think algorithm or however it works, it's like, nah, we're used to keeping you in this algorithm, right? So yeah, so that was kind of the trick. And then I noticed doing live streams more, getting the channel monetized. Okay, cool. And once I wanted to get more serious with it, I started doing more uploads. I'm doing like motion graphic elements. I'm getting more, fancy with the graphics and whatnot. Cause it's like, hey, I'm gonna get more serious with it. And then of course I noticed that the live streams would always get more seeming push and more love than the uploads. So it was an interesting kind of dynamic. And I was like, do I have to like train the algorithm or is it the people? So, I mean, what you said is very insightful.
Yeah, it's especially once you've developed a community around something. If I'm only coming to figure out how to make 5-minute meals for the family, then, and it's like 3 to 4 family members per meal, like it's how many people can eat. And then all of a sudden you start going into van life. I ain't come here for that. You know what I'm saying? Like this, the ESPN channel flips it one day. They just going to talk about, I don't know, women's socks. I didn't come here for it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, it's like, well, let me tell you about the way we do the Achilles heel. It's just like, bro, listen, please stop. It's like, I didn't come here to figure out the reinforcements of it. Like, we didn't come here for that. And so it's more so like the existing audience. And I've gone through this a couple times with content shifts around, like initially my channel had nothing to do with cameras, nothing to do with tech, none of that. I was just starting as far as getting to the content creation space. I was just doing like small business consulting. Like if you were confused about how to set up a company, stuff like that, there's the basics of getting going. So I talked about, all kind of stuff relating to the business, the new tax law came out, stuff like that. I was super nerdy and very much so into the stuff that other people weren't. And so get coaching clients around those things. But when my coach started pushing me towards doing video content creation, it's like, you need to be visible using video. I'm like, first of all, you'll know who you're talking to, because I don't take pictures, I don't do selfies, none of that. And so, but I had to start putting out videos, put that stuff on YouTube. One video was an accident. It just so happened to match a video that was trending for something else. I still don't know to this day what it was, but I think it had something to do with music or like some recent song or artist or whatever. My title matched that, and for whatever reason started trending. So it went from 1 to 2 views on the video, which were mine, refreshing to see if anybody else watched the video, to like 120 people, like in just like an hour. It had never happened before. And I was like, what is happening? So at that point, now I understand that like I'm getting some insight at that basic moment. Now YouTube is like, it's showing what it thinks people want. Now, once it finds out that's not what they actually want, the watch time, stuff like that, it's like, oh no, this is not the right thing. And a comment on that video is like, I was looking for such and such. And I'm like, well, what the heck is that? I don't even know what you're looking for. So now it's got to redirect those people to find out what is it that you're looking for. Thumbnail title looks attractive to what they want. And then the video isn't clickbait in the sense that it delivers on that. So when you switch content around doing different stuff, it now has to, the people that are there have to figure out, am I into this or am I rocking with it just because I like you as a person now? Versus like the YouTube algorithm now has to like, okay, change it up. Okay, cool. Like, are we still going to do that other thing anymore? Or are we just going in a whole new focus? After so many uploads and stuff, it's like, okay, well, it's going to take us a minute. Like, because we know these people that we need to stop. Now we got to figure out again who to target and who to bring to you that is going to like this. And when we show it to your regular folks, they're not feeling it. But when you do a live stream or you are doing something that is similar to what you have been doing, they show up with ease when we show it to them. So that's all that kind of is. And like I said, I've gone through that a couple times, from switching from business to like tech, and then even so much so like being real on brand with Canon stuff. All that stuff with the Canon M50 blew up. Then all my Canon M50 people got mad. It's like, well, what you mean you going to Team Sony now? And I'm like, this is my decision. Wow. So you don't have to switch, but here's Team what I believe Sony is right. Hey, listen, let them use you. But it's just it's like, here, you don't have to keep switching cameras just because I do, but I'm going to teach from what I'm using, and this is no longer it. Sure. At the sense, it's like a whole, not just like a camera shift, but like a brand shift. So now those people are like, heck, do we have to move? They have to make decisions. Like, do we have to move? Like, so you have to think about the progressive process psychologically of what your audience is going to have to go through, in addition to the content that makes sense to that. Because just because you're interested in it, or you got a couple people interested in it, or they now rock with you just because they rock with you as a person, like, you got to be able to silo those out. Because people saying, man, I love this, keep doing it. That don't mean I actually need to keep doing it, because that may not be what the 90% want. It's the difference of a silent majority that's not really talking that much, but it's the majority of your audience that wants a specific thing, versus the loud minority of a person, 1, 2, 3 people. You say, man, I got 3 comments on this one thing, ain't nobody else saying nothing. Well, I guess it's like, they ain't always right. So you have to be able to think about those decisions when you're making those transitions and ride it through. That's why it's like the YouTube journey ain't always cute. It don't always look great, you know?
Definitely. Nick, what do you think? I mean, you already see what it is. I mean, not to get too hung up on that, but I mean, you know, the kind of sector that we came out of, and it's kind of like,
me
hey,
and you, we done went round and round on this. See, she don't know. We done beat this to death.
Can we have some diversity in the discussions? Can we do more camera gear nerd stuff? Or, I mean, if we're gonna talk Black community stuff, let's hear some career pathways. I mean, I carved out a lane for myself, like I said, doing the video motion graphic work. And I know there's some other people that would love to be able to pivot and quit their day job, fire their boss, and work for themselves. So I'm thinking, hey, if I get
then you got a new boss
around
though.
that,
I mean, you got another boss. You keep
my
the boss,
situation.
even when
I fire my clients. I don't have bosses.
I got bosses. Even though I own the company, my customers are my boss.
Right,
because that's where I get my. I mean, that's where I get my income from. If they don't like. If they don't like my production, you know, then they're going to go find somebody else. So technically, even though I own the company, I work for them. Technically, that's the way it feels.
Still a better position, in my opinion. I mean, I just have to say, like, the encouragement, especially like younger guys. I'm in my 40s. Younger guys, if I can kind of put them in the lane of.
What you mean? Wait a minute. What you mean, younger guys? That is young. You know what I'm saying?
Young folks. Y'all
for
young
real.
folks.
60 is now you starting to get a little, you know what I'm saying? Just starting. In my opinion, we got so much more life to live. So I'm just throwing that out there. 40 is young.
Well, no, I agree. I just say it to say that I know guys in their 20s who look at me and like, oh, you kind of OG level. I'm like, oh, I got a little grays here. Okay, cool. But if I can put you ahead of the game 20 years out and show you a, you know, career pathway kind of situation where you can kind of carve your own lane. And especially if you sit on YouTube for hours, a lot of what I've learned relative to the kind of career that I built for myself, I learned right here on YouTube from folks like yourself. That's why it's amazing to be on here with you right now. One of our other guys, Keep It Techie, he was on with CJ Unplugged, CJ Knows Tech. And so I was geeked out again, like, okay, this is my whole other sector coming full circle back to folks I watched for years on this whole other camera lane. And then I kind of came up in this other sector. So it's like a convergence. But I love that thought process. So I say all that to say, I've wanted to pivot my content. Once I knew I was going to get more serious with this, like I do well with my career in the real world, so to speak. But I was like, hey, there's some of this digital evergreen video created once, it lives on forever. Oh, well, let me see about that. Plus, it's now an add-on as another additional upgrade to ads for my clients, right? Like kind of YouTube and playing that game. So I was like, all right, if I'm gonna get more serious with this, I can't just do the community talk, complaint stuff, cyclical, whatever. It got to be something productive. So yeah, you switch up, start talking about camera nerd stuff and how to build a career in video or whatever. And then it's like, oh, that ain't some drama about Will and Jada, so I'm not that interested.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, but that's again, I understand, because it's like I can't think if it was a picture or a story or where exactly it comes from, but it was basically, it was like I think it's like a picture of like Jesus with a teddy bear behind his back, and this little girl's like trying to get her to give basically the principle of give me what you have that I know that you love a lot, so I can give you something even better. And it's the same kind of thought process when you think about YouTube, in a sense, like, yeah, I was growing a channel up to maybe, I don't know, maybe 500-800 subscribers. And when you're growing from 0, that's a huge milestone, because you know how much work it takes to do that. And so I'm like, dang, I'm gonna switch now. It's like I'm just getting some momentum, and I'm just starting to see some results from things. I'm like, I'm gonna switch now. But the one thing I can say is that as I started to have more conversations about it, as I started to, like I'd like to do the seed and lead method. If I'm going to seed for something, it's like, well, later in this interview, we're going to tell you about some of the best cameras that, you know, creators or activists or whatever are wanting to get started can use to start sharing their message using video on whatever platform. Okay, I'm seeding for something that I'm not saying that that's what we're going to talk about later, but but that's what it's like, the seed and lead. So I'm seeding for something now, get back to what we were talking about, and then I'm going to lead you to something else and say, you know, really, you guys really need to be considering doing X, or you really need to be thinking about doing X. Later on, after so many videos, you keep seeding
Nice.
for people. They get that message. And then those that, it's like your content always needs to be attracting and repelling people. Always. It always needs to be attracting and repelling people. And that's attracting the right people and repelling the other. I want you to leave within the first 5 to 8 seconds of the video, so you don't mess up my rest of my analytics, like because you just hung out too long. I want you to know right away if this is for you or if it's not. So that I know when I am analyzing the content, I'm going off of what I know the right target audience is watching. And if I'm repelling them, now I know if I need to shift stuff. But if you're talking about making a content shift, sometimes it's knowing and going through that hard process of I'm going to lose people intentionally. And at that point, it's just like, here's what we're going to do moving forward. Here's what the channel direction is. So if you stay on the same channel and you keep doing that same thing, then it's like knowing that you're going to have people that stay just to see if maybe you come back around to it or how it goes. And then you find out sometimes people are like, yeah, you know, I was actually thinking about this too. I'm glad you want to talk about it so we can go into this, you know, kind of a thing. But then some people question, should I just start a whole new channel? And that opens up its own can of worms, because it's like, can you build 2 houses? Most of the time, the most successful channels, the most successful brands and companies that I work with still shy away from it, because it's hard, even with a team of people, you know, moving synchronized and forward in the same direction. It's hard. So, you know, it's something to consider. It's like, do I want to keep doing and hold on to what I have right now that's good? But is this truly like, can I see myself 10, 15 years down the road still wanting to do this and talk about the same thing? For me, it was like, no, I'm ready to transition because it's the right thing. And, you know, fast forward, it was. So it's something everybody has to answer for themselves, though.
Beautiful. No, that's interesting. And Nick, if I may, and
yes, sir.
I appreciate that. And I don't want to monopolize the discussion around this one thing, but I think there's value in this for anyone else listening as well. What I did, so sort of this Black YouTube sector, these certain discussions, and at the start of this year, and based on the whole pandemic thing, a big focus of mine in the past decade has been fitness, health, and that's what helped me sort of parlay my regular working, you know, check to check kind of jobs into the career I have now. So what I kind of did, because I've been experimenting with more workouts, fasting, kind of diet, different concepts, and seeing other content creators with that. And then, of course, the visual media type elements, big with YouTube and, you know, curating my own content. I'm big on that. And it's not work for myself. I decided myself to launch more into the direction of kind of like a fitness over 40, intermittent fasting kind of lifestyle mindset kind of thing. So I knew that I wasn't going to necessarily be able to leverage that within sort of this Black YouTube sector. So I did, in fact, make a new channel. But I have an interesting advantage to the degree where I was able to leverage a channel that's just now approaching 3,000 and leverage it to a new channel that's almost at 300 in about a month. So I think with that sort of progression, that's actually not bad. And I'm still in a beta test, even with what I'm doing with sort of this whole fitness, made a whole new brand and everything, because I'm a graphic designer, motion graphic designer. So I made it kind of pop and have these bells and whistles. So that's dope. I love how you address that, because I had to kind of make that decision. Other people were asking me, well, why are you making a whole new channel? And I was like, well, yeah, for years of being in this sector, and then pivot to health and health things relative to diet, eat less, intermittent fasting, and it's mostly Black folks.
You know they love Popeye's chicken. They not trying to hear that today. Okay, new ad just came out.
I can't eat that stuff.
Who can't? Nobody really can. No, everybody's suffering through it. Okay, past 20 years old, everybody's suffering through it.
Oh, I like to cook my own food.
But no, just so you filled in the blank on what I was saying. So I quickly realized I'm gonna go do this whole other channel and put a solid year in on this fitness over 40 stuff. And the way I set it up and I'm building it out, it's literally just me essentially just describing And people ask me it in real life all the time. Like, what do you do to stay healthy? Like, you're in pretty good shape, whatever. How do you eat? I know you work out a lot, and can I work out with you? So I've kind of had those kind of nudges. And I was like, oh, let me kind of tell people what I do, the kind of herb supplements and whatnot. So fast forward, built out a whole new channel. And because I am here in Oakland, Bay Area, there's so many different independents and creators here. So I get to leverage this whole thing of being an independent visual media producer, and I work from home or work remotely. You know what I mean? So it's like a kind of perfect storm of an advantageous way to be able to push this whole new brand. So I was like, you know what? Let's do this on a new channel. And even still, just in the baby steps phases of it, I'm already at 1/3 of 1,000. That notorious hard to get 1,000. So I like it. But yeah, no, I love that you already saw that predicament. And I'm kind of, based on what you said, I'm kind of glad I did make the decision to make the new channel. Nick knows what I'm talking about, because Nick, I ran up the other channel working on the free energy, AM1 free energy brand.
Yep.
Yeah, Carrie D, thank you. She just put the that out.
Oh yeah, I was glad when you done it, because sometimes, just like me, how I got a music only channel, because I'm a music holic on top of everything else, but I separated it, and some of the people are over there from here, but the majority of the handful of people that subbed over there are people that's not on this channel.
Nice.
So it's a totally different thing. My problem is my tech channel, my B channel. That's the one that I'm having a harder. And y'all, come on, we know why. Oh, you like them? Why do you do this? How come you don't go away? I'm like, you're on YouTube.
Particular brand?
Yeah,
the brand thing, like what Dinah said earlier with the is that
the brand of people and all.
That other. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, why are y'all? Y'all that man, dude. I'm like, aren't you? And I try to flip it. Aren't you interested in how this system works that you're using on your phone? I don't give a damn about phones. Tell y'all the truth. I am a desktop. I'm not. I know the statistics. They say this percentage of video is watched on handheld. I don't care. I'm not mobile optimized, because I'm not in the mobile world. Even though it's a mobile surrounding, the people that I am a desktop guy, because we all know mobile has limitations. It's only so many apples you can put in a 5-pound bag. You know what I mean? You want more apples? Yeah, you need a bigger bag. And desktop, you can't get any bigger. But then I twist it up on those people, and I say, the majority of the high-end content you're watching was made on desktops, right? I said, all them key lights and DSLR cameras and all that. I said, all that is done on desktops, right? I said, you listening to this sound? Yeah. I said, you ain't running no DBX 286S through your through no smartphone, right?
Right, a 3.5 millimeter adapter going.
And then but that's when they get, y'all know how folk get there.
Well, I mean, it's everybody has like I had to explain it to some people, because some people will especially like doing the live streams, where I get like my buddy Doc Rock on, and we get to going back and forth. Doc is a brother from another mother, and it's like we'll talk, and we'll be talking about brands, and we'll be talking about all kinds of. It's no different than the Sunday hangout session about your favorite football teams, or your favorite baseball teams and stuff. In that same way, it's like everybody loves the sport, but everybody has their own different camps and their own different teams, and that's how we talk about it. Those that go a little bit further tend to take things a little bit too they take it a little too far, in the sense that it's like, well, what about this, or is this no good? And it's like, it can become, unfortunately, in some environments, very toxic when it comes to the tech and the Android voice versus iPhone, desktop versus mobile, Canon versus Sony, Canon versus Nikon, even, or whatever the case is. And like, at the end of the day, it's like, use what you want to use to create. However, I do agree with you in the sense that, like, I'm that desktop 99% of the time person, even though I have my phone and do all this extra. They're like, hey, what do you think about doing videos around the smart? You'll probably never. It'll be pulling a tooth to do a video, because it's just the ease of use isn't there, in my opinion. And I'm fine to disagree with people. But at the same time, like I'll always say on my live streams, I'm on your show, so I'm not, not going to say this fully, but it's like, you're welcome to disagree with me, but you're also welcome to be wrong. So
yeah. Oh, I say, well, I heard what you're saying, but you're like what I like to call wrong. Oh, and AM, she killed me when she done the thing, but I'm gonna do it on her. Androids is for computing. Apples are for eating. Okay, that's the way it go. Android for the win. No, I'm just, because she was doing this video where she was going through all her sound settings.
When I was trying out the, everybody pulls that specific clip.
That was hilarious.
That was, and it's crazy because it's like I work during the day. At that time,
it looked like it was a spur of the moment thing. Looked like it wasn't planned.
No,
like
not at all. It was, that was something I chose to just add in and feed in, because you think, well, you kind of get a gist for like, okay, I'm adding this video to the channel so it can be a part of the library, or sometimes it's literally a video that may serve a commonly asked email question or question via email that's not something that's highly searched on YouTube. And because it serves that purpose, I am fine with that video only living for that reason. So it's like sometimes you figure, and it's like, dang, too many people are going to watch about this specific thing or whatever. And I was like, I got this clip from when I was trying a mixer and how these voice changes things, but I'm like, how y'all get to this part in the video? Y'all wasn't supposed to even see this.
I played like it back at least 3 times.
No, 2 a.m., the black women head wrap on, signature hair robe, just the whole thing just going through. But that's what I do when I'm doing audio tests. I'll, play around and have a bunch of fun. I was like, oh, why not add it in this video?
It was hilarious. I'm sorry. It was funny. I was dying laughing over here. Oh, hey, well, I'll let y'all go because I know you short on time. I was going to hit y'all with some, I already know his answers, but we got to get
go ahead. I don't have another meeting after this. So it's like, I do have something to do, but I don't have another meeting right after. So we can go for like another 30 minutes.
Cool. You good, AM?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Okay. For me, I say audio is king. He know how I am. Audio is king, because a lot of time I'll catch myself listening to a video more so than watching it, especially if I'm out and I'm working and I'm in the truck or I'm doing something. I'll be listening to you. And if your audio sucks, I just cut it off. And we were talking about that, me and Ciova and AM and Sly, when we go back and look at some of our old stuff and we figure like, man, I can't believe I sounded that horrible. Yeah. And I can't, what was that? But to me, audio, if I had to choose between good audio and good video, I'd rather have both of them good. But if I had to choose, like you're coming up, starting from the floor, I always tell people, go with your audio first, then work on your video. Now, I know you already answered this question on your channel because I watched the video, but this is for these people. Oh, and plus, y'all two do as y'all will with this, and he knows that anyway because me and him stream, and him and G Lowry and Tech G, and we just take each other's stuff. We don't even ask. We just bogart it. But what cameras would you suggest for somebody that's just a flat? I already know your answer, but I just want to hear you say it for them. That's a flat out beginning. Somebody want to get into content creation. Would you tell them to go straight to DSLR, to a digital camera, or would you have them go to a webcam, knowing in a year or so they're gonna wind up throwing that $100 webcam, you know what I mean, in a box somewhere?
You ain't lying. So, and it's funny because I had just come across mine in like a bin or something. Like, oh, that's where I put that. It's like, okay, but so here's my honest answer. If somebody is just looking to get into their first camera, 99% of the time, I would tell them to start with their smartphone, simply because if you can't do 30 videos on your smartphone before either you run into a couple different things, which is you are frustrated with the quality and you know that you want to move into using a camera, then at that point, I'll recommend a camera. I'll get into that recommendation in a second. But it's also to learn, do you really want to do what you think you want to do? Most people don't. It's because I've had those emails, and it's gut wrenching to me because at first I used to think, well, am I not serving people well? Am I not giving them all the details? Like where's the ball being dropped here? When I would get those emails saying, man, I had this camera for a year, I bought all this stuff and I'm not doing anything with it. And honestly, most of the time, it's like people say, I'm multi-passionate. It's like, no, you're not. What you are is you're bottled up. You feel the same way about everything because you have done nothing with none of this stuff. None of the gifts, talents, skills, ideas that you haven't executed on anything. Everything feels equal on the inside. It's not until you start getting to do some stuff and you're getting this content out, whatever it is, then you realize, maybe that's not it. Maybe that's just a weekend volunteer at this nonprofit thing that I want to do every Saturday or Sunday. And that is sufficient to suffice that urge or that desire to serve in that way or to talk about that thing. Or maybe it's just your Instagram stories every day. That's what you're talking about. Maybe you're talking about the little recipes that you like to come up with or shortcuts in the kitchen. But overall, the most passionate thing that you're about is what the channel should be about. And then at that point, that's what you need to be talking about. So most people don't know if that's like, they may pick one of the minor things that feels equal and they'll start making all this stuff or make a channel around it. And then they like, I don't really want to do this anymore. Or find out, you know what? I thought I wanted to do content creation, but that was a distraction for me. So I don't necessarily suggest people start with a camera, but if they've gotten through some of that stuff or they know that they want to get into a camera, if they can find one, I would suggest the Sony ZV-E10 as the beginner camera because it has a lot of the basics that it used to be up to $1,000 that you weren't going to find in some of those model type cameras across the board of any brand. Unfortunately, with the global chip shortage, you can't find a Sony camera to throw a stick at this point. No. So, but that would be the model if you can find one. The Sony ZV-E10 is the one of the best that I've seen, and I don't think people understood like why I was so geeked about an entry level camera.
That's what I'm using right here, ZV-E10.
I'm like, this is a $1,200 or $1,300 level features in a camera that's at $600 and $700, and then it disappeared with the global
then they reappeared for $1,100.
Yeah,
and then you know what that is?
Yeah,
a 5100. I love that camera.
Yeah.
It was a sleeper to me. It was a sleeper, clean HDMI output, interchangeable lens, set up. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's $300 used. You couldn't beat it.
Only thing was, it's until 2020 when live streaming became a thing for everybody. Everyone had to. It wasn't a decision of if I'm going to live stream or not. It's how am I going to do this for whatever business or organization that you're, a part of or whatever your message was. Now you had to do live streaming. So at that $300 price range for essentially a discontinued model camera, the only thing that it lacked really was some form of a stabilization and then a microphone
and if
import.
you're mobile, that's a big thing. I wouldn't even consider it if I was a mobile person like you be walking with your camera and doing the thing, because this is everything. Even when I'm in the field, it's tripod. I'm everything. So it's not for me, it's not that answers that question. Next, I already know. Like I say, I know it, but I gotta ask, on body microphone, on camera microphone with your little fuzzy mouse or external microphone?
Depends on the audio source. That's another thing I think people get confused. It's really three primary types of audio setups that every creator should have. Some kind of lapel or wireless kind of a thing, like with Rode Wireless Go 2. So you got a lapel clipped on if you're not trying to be untethered from the camera, but you still need a clean audio source. The second one is going to be a podcasting style setup for stuff like this, your Zoom calls, your interviews, your whatever kind of a things or creating content at the desk. So you need something that's like that. And people say, well, can't I just use lapel? Yeah, just because you can doesn't mean that you should.
Don't mean you should.
It's all kind of stuff to be going on. People be saying, I got the kids like it's a disease. And it's like, yeah, guess what? I have nieces and nephews that play in the living room all the time. All the time. Can't hear them. At best, you might hear some jets fly over from the military. But that's only at a certain decibel range, So at that point, you can block out a lot of audio and stuff that may not sound as great or as clear, or just honestly the repurposed quality that you get from a podcast style microphone at like a Samson Q2U, Rode Pod mic, Shure SM7B, Shure MV7, any of those models, fantastic. Then the last one would be the shotgun microphone or the vlogging style microphone. People see that but they don't see the right context. Even every movie, every show, we see the guys hanging over doing like this.
Yeah, with the boom up.
Yeah.
It's just out of the shot every time. Got a big old blimp on it with furries on the inside. So it's like you're not seeing that they have close audio sources to them all the time. So people get that confused. It's like, well, I don't want to be tethered. It doesn't matter at some point. They're like, I don't want the mic in the shot. It's like, it's not really, I get what you're saying, like where people are coming from with that. But what is going to deliver the best quality? Because ain't nobody worried about the mic in the shot on anything else. Like literally, like nobody's worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay for vlogs and podcast style. I mean, short of, I mean, I do some client work where they have obviously like a lapel setup. And I think even to a certain degree, that adds an aesthetic of if you're doing a talking head kind of thing to where people are so accustomed to seeing that from like a psychological standpoint, that's not even off-putting. But then sure, an off-cam mic as well for a talking head kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I would think people are overthinking it kind of with that. Yeah,
for sure. Because most people are going to get something like the Rode Video Micro, Mobile VXR Pro or VXR 10, Deity, D4 Duos kind of a things. And it's like those are condenser style omnidirectional microphones, meaning they're picking up all of the audio around them. They're not even knowing about
everything.
The pencil style microphones, the semi-directional, the just all the different variations of a pickup pattern, essentially, that you would need, you know, or want in certain environments, like super cardioid microphone styles. So it's different things like that. It's like you don't always want to just replicate what you see. I teach the model of
what's going to work for you versus what's working for them.
Yes, what's your environment? People are like, well, I need to do this. And I'm like, no, you need to do something completely different than what I'm doing or what have you. So that's the thing. It's like the microphone type. It depends on your environment, where you at, what you're trying to do. And then also like, what do you want? What are you comfortable with? Because at that point, let's find you a solution, a microphone or audio solution versus just like go buy XYZ specific thing.
You got a question on the screen there.
Okay. Thoughts on teleprompters for looking directly at the audience, if this hasn't already been answered. So this is something that you'll hear a lot about. It's optional. I think most people get too caught up in that. And if you literally are just getting started, you just need to start creating content anyway, because you can have the teleprompter and still be looking at the screen and stuff, like, or still be down here looking like, oh yeah, guys, it's looking real. It's like, so I think one, learn the skill of looking at the camera, looking in the lens, because that whole teleprompter thing is like, it doesn't make sense to add extra learning curves in an already new solution of trying to figure everything out, because every new learning curve after so many is just going to equal a circle. You're going round and round. You can keep buying stuff on top of buying stuff. Right. You're not creating anything. So unless you're already creating some kind of a videos, and then you're like, I would really love to have those where I'm doing a lot of interviews, I'm doing a lot of shows, then maybe at that point it makes sense to do teleprompters. People get confused. They're like, well, aren't you using a teleprompter? It's like, no, just like years of content creation, just straight at the lens. It's like so that one,
I don't even have a teleprompter. I don't have one. Everything I do, I just, and you have to excuse the noise. It's storming in South Texas, and I
don't hear anything
right where I'm at.
Didn't hear.
Yeah, well, I turned up my noise gate a little bit here. I just turned it up just a little bit, so because at first I heard the thunder through my head, so that's why I turned it up a little more. So I'm sorry, go ahead. No.
I was just saying it just, if you are in a place where you're comfortable adding something else to your system, then fine. I'm not averse to it, but I don't agree that if you're just getting started, you need to keep adding all these complexities, because most people are thinking like, well, I want to make sure it looks like I'm looking at them, and then I don't want to be like feeling like you're missing out. But the same thing is like, if you're driving the show, you're going to look down because you need to look at a comment, or you're going to look over at the other monitor because you need to look at and pull something on the screen or whatever. So it's no way to like almost 1,000% keep your eyes on the camera at all times. So it's like at some point it's like kind of relax on that. But secondly, it's fine. But if you're new, just really pay attention to producing content, period. Let's just produce regularly and consistently, so that when you add something new, it's not, some big wrench that's going to keep you from creating, or you miss your upload day because you keep doing, it's like, man, I got to figure this out and I can't figure it out. Now it's 2 weeks in. It's like, it's not that serious. It's not.
No, I agree.
Brother Padat mean that relative to As I thought about it, I actually got a teleprompter, but I got it because of one of my clients said that they had scripts that they wanted to do, and more or less for pre-recorded videos as opposed to live streams. I still
Plus, he
haven't
that dude.
used it
Plus,
yet.
he that dude. He that dude too, on top of that. So.
Well, no, I mean, relative to the, I mean, for me, content creation, like YouTube wise, is a whole secondary thing that I'm just more getting used to. I mean, I'm a videographer for a living. Like that's what I do. So some of this stuff I need to have. So I need
production work.
Exactly. Exactly. So for me, you know, the kind of camera, I mean, I'm live streaming with a Sony A7S III, like beyond overkill. But I
don't think overkill is a thing, because it's like at your base level of what you need for something like this. It's like, it's like this on the A6400. I can swap this out all day long, make all the Sonys look the same, or make them all look different, or change the look. And it's like people get confused. I like when you was using the other camera. Like I wasn't using the other camera. We was experimenting with different picture profile, just playing around. It's like, so, you know, it's like confused the hell out of people. But at the very base of what you need, if it solves the need, fine. But there's a large enough ceiling that you can go there, or your ideas, you have room enough for your ideas to expand there. So I don't agree with the whole thing and like the overkill thing, simply because it's like, no, at my base, it solves that solution, but I have plenty of room to get new ideas, visions, hold on to this camera for 2 and 3 years, and I still haven't maxed the capabilities, or my skills haven't gotten there, and that's fine.
I say overkill with this camera specifically because a lot of people have asked me about that question, like what Nick asked earlier, getting started with the camera. Like I actually wanted to get the
I've seen his equipment layout. Oh my goodness.
I can't even really justify getting it because I mean, I kind of started with A6500, then A7 III, had dual A7 IIIs, then got A7C, which is basically just a little baby A7 III. By the way, I really love this little mic, that the digital one that
that one went out. That one, the ECM something or another. I can't remember the rest of them. Yeah, exactly. A B C D E F G. Yeah, it is such a good microphone.
I love it. And that there's no cables or anything, because I had a Rode one, Video Mic Pro, where you got to plug it in, audio jack, potentially damage it. I love this one.
That's the new level.
I was talking about the A7S III in the sense of overkill, because people would ask me about what they should get to get started. And they would ask me what I use. And I'm like, well, I use this, but you're not going to want to get a $3,500 camera to start out of the gate, or even an A7 III or whatever. So I always try to tell them to go get crop. And then when they did the ZV-10, E10 with the interchangeable, I was like, okay, I think that's where people need to go. So I just say that overkill wise, because some people think, I don't know if I could get, spend $2,000 on a camera. I'm like, well, yeah, to your point, are you even making content yet? Start with your phone. And then if you're going to invest, get something like the ZV-E10 before even thinking about something like a Sony A7S III. Like I didn't even start with that. So just, I say overkill to that degree. Like, yeah, I got a A7S III with the 24 to 105 f4, which is beautiful, obviously, with that that low light sensor situation. So relative to my current situation, black backdrop, it does exactly what I needed to do. But obviously, I can take this off and go do my client work with this.
Right.
And I love this setup. But yeah, that's what I'm just saying as far as relative.
But I always tell people too, I said, if you got a few thousand, if you done got to the point where you got a few thousand subs and half of your content is still you on a phone, you screwing up. You're not gonna, I mean, it's only so far, but that's
elaborate.
I don't know.
Because
wait a minute
about that.
No,
yeah,
I mean, the one, I mean, this is okay. I'll elaborate. This is
niggas
what
a snob.
Clack, clack. Hey, y'all. And hey, hold on a second. Yo, what's up, dog? Hold on a second. I'm done. Yeah, y'all. And that clack, clack, clack. Dude, no, stop.
No, Diana.
It's only so serious. Somebody gonna take you at that point.
So wait, you're used to this sector that we kind of came up in with foolishness, people coming on with horrible audio and all that.
And I can't listen to it. And know what I do?
Right.
I understand.
I can't.
So I understand.
All right.
That's all I'm gonna say. I understand.
It's a good thing. If you can get to 1,000 people off your phone, I say technically that's a good thing. But I see your point as far as stepping your game up.
Yeah, I mean, give the folks something. Apparently, they're interested in you because they're coming. I mean, you ain't got to go bonzo, but step it up a little bit.
I
just
would
a
more
little.
So, even I would say.
Okay, can y'all see yourselves going back to handheld?
No.
Exactly. No.
First of all, As an educator, okay, I can throw that label as an educator. No, but the thing is that you have to consider when people are first getting started in video, and that's what is giving them the speed of execution. If that is helping you to produce at a level that is like your people aren't worried, because it literally, there are some audiences, and most audiences are like that. They don't know like what's like something better. It's like if you switch from one channel to the other or one movie to the next, they don't care about the color grading scheme that the Matrix was on versus The Martian versus Interstellar versus, like, they don't care. They just like, oh, that's a good movie. Yeah, that movie was dope on its own merit. So I would say for a good majority of people, that's sufficient if it's sufficient for the target audience. Because there are some channels, like I said, automotive sector, they're mostly on their phones or what have you, or a GoPro, and that is good for what they're doing.
Right.
And it doesn't need to scale anything past that, because it'll make things more complex of them being able to execute and produce the content. So it depends on the who and the what. Just like it's a Christian podcast that I was trying to listen to. And both sides of the equation, from the audio to the video, was horrible. And I was like, I can't listen, so I can't even like do the YouTube Premium thing, because it sounds horrible. Like, put your microphone in the closet, close the door, take 10 pages back, and yell, and that's like the kind of quality. It just sounds bad. Or if I put one of these up and all you hear is like the clothes rustling, it's really, really bad. Then when you look at it, it's worse than a smartphone quality. I don't know what it is, but it's worse. So there is a difference between like when to pay attention and when to know if you make this decision, it's going to hurt you more than help you. So that's the thing. It's like, I think it depends on the niche and what you're doing for. But those that are just out there wild, like, it's like, yeah, you probably need to stop what you're doing. They might be better off with a GoPro. Audio's good. The wide angle's going to catch everything. So that may be all that you need, but it just depends on the who. Some people are just like out there wild creating. So I think that's a outlier for somebody that's like real bad quality on both sides and still like massively growing out. It's a one or the other. Something's suitable to the audience somewhere if that's happening.
Yeah, I got a question for both of y'all. Now, y'all can pick on who's going to go first, so you can, because see, I always like the other person to go first so I can throw them under the bus. So, just in case they, they cross me up. If you can go back 2 years, or you can go back 4, all right, take verses 2 versus 4, what, if anything, would you change differently on your path to this sector?
I'll say,
I noticed he was letting on you go first. He said, let her set herself on fire first.
Because I'm going to stand my ground. So I would take 2 years back versus 4 years back, because 4 years back doesn't change anything about the situation or the scenario. It puts me right back at the beginning stages of my content journey, in the sense that YouTube is a different platform. The creators that are producing that are not creating content anymore can't find the channel, kind of a thing. They're still trugging along. The level of cameras and the content and the courses even that are out, none of that stuff changes. So with the information that I would have at that time, nothing changes, other than unless I'm taking current present day knowledge into that situation. If I'm not, and I just get to go back and try again, I'm not going 4 years back, because I ain't going to be able to change nothing. Job's still going to be the same. Income still going to be the same. Still going to be living at the same place. Still going to be doing the same thing. It's not going to change. The course is still going to, like, nothing about that situation changes. Even with knowing what I know today, very little possibly can change, right? 2 years ago, totally different story. Because at that point, I have quit my job. I have changed my life. I have, like, literally, what I'm saying? So now at 2 years ago, there's mistakes that I can take ownership of that are now in my possession, that I'm like, now let's rethink this with a different mindset. Or even if I had to start over again, no new information from present day to take back then, I would do it again, because I think I would make different decisions based on like if I just slow down and speed up in a sense. So I would go 2 years back versus 4 years back.
Yeah, for me, excuse me, it would be the same. The 2 years for sure. I mean, as far as 4 years, that's when I was really kind of getting started specifically with more content creators within specifically the Black YouTube kind of sector. So that was me just kind of getting my feet wet with this. I had already had a career going doing the visual media production work around the Bay Area and whatnot. So I was already good there. I do wish I had a time machine, so to speak, relative to my understanding of it now, monetizing this, leveraging these things, and how important. So I would take the 2-year option for sure, because knowing now what I know, I either would have already ran up a channel doing more kind of like either motion graphic tutorials, camera reviews, tips and tricks, my tips as far as everything camera related, content creation related, as far as my career. And I already built a channel out like that. This whole time, I've just been kind of like, do I want to do that? Plus the time it would take relative to the client work that I have going on in the real world, so to speak. So it will definitely be that. But I mean, I'm in a no-lose situation because doing visual media production work, everything is going more content. I'm in a no-lose scenario because then even now, I took that and parlayed that over and kind of merged it with the idea of like independent content creator, producer, video guy, and tying that in with this health and fitness kind of thing. And in this environment here in the Bay Area, like I'm on a whole unique situation right now because people are now getting into, and Diana, you mentioned that as well, asking for coaching relative to how to stay on track with your health while being an independent creator or entrepreneur. So I just almost carved out a whole new lane. So it's super interesting. But yeah, definitely the 2-year point, man, I would have had a pretty popping channel just doing the creative kind of work if I had put the pedal to the metal 2 years ago doing that. But I'm kind of glad I didn't. I don't have a time machine anyway, because now I feel like I forged something even more unique that has more of a problem solving element. I still get to do video, vlogging, motion graphic design. So I still get to flex doing the fun stuff, my own brand. And then it's leveraging something to where I can even get into like a landscape of like coaching. Sorry about that. Oakland.
They coming to get you, man. I called them on you while you was I took the money, man. Hey, they said they said $10,000.
They gonna come to me. Hey, I'm gonna be like, hey, I shoot these. I don't shoot the other ones. Well,
okay, that's right.
Right.
But yeah, no, definitely the 2-year option. But yeah, definitely like at this point, the creativity levels is just going through the roof and focusing more on the health element as well. So that just carved a whole new niche for my life and a whole new like life path, career path. I'm able to solve for a couple of different things in trying to inspire more creativity, more independent freelancer kind of vibes, and health all in one swoop. It's like, wow.
Yeah, 4 years ago, tech-wise, it's hard because hell, it's still a joke. Like, think about that. 2017 going to 2018, YouTube is a joke. If that's what you're saying, like you're leading around something with that as a profession. Whereas what was funny was right when I was quitting my job, and then after I had quit my job, now the DMs start to come in from old coworkers like, yo, so how you really like make money on YouTube or whatever? I was really thinking about like, man, I really feel God pulled me in this other direction. And it's like, you're a joke at that point at your job, doing what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. I had an assistant at that time. I would come to work and have made more money than I would make for that next pay period. So, and I'm like, I don't care if y'all laugh. Like those those are not depositable at the bank. Like,
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So 4 years ago, YouTube is a hard sell to average Joe creator because they're not even a creator yet.
Sure.
So, but now, even 2 years ago, it's a whole different ball game to where the value proposition has shifted. You don't have to, like I remember I used to do video editing when I first got started. And I remember doing, what was it, like a cohort or a community or something I was invited to speak at. And a gentleman asked, he said, how do you sell your clients on video? I said, if you have to sell them on the video edit, don't even work with that client. You pitch into the wrong people. Because if I had to pitch you that this is the right thing for you, and I'm trying to sell my skills or whatever of what I can do for whatever direction or niche or audience that you're speaking to, wrong approach. Go find the people that are ready to produce content, got a backlog of stuff. They just batch recorded a bunch, that they're ready, because that now your client experience is different. Whereas that's the environment that even 2 years ago we were at now, whereas 4 years ago, people listening to Gary Vee people seeing Casey Neistat vlog every day, and they think, man, he's playing on YouTube. Y'all crazy. Man, let me go get in the stock exchange. Let me go, not that any of these directions are bad. Let me get in real estate. But now you see stock people on YouTube. Now you see the real estate people on YouTube. And now you see, you know what I'm saying, all of these different industries trying to figure out, like, or understanding rather, there's a home for me here, and I should have been here a long time ago, especially like nonprofits and stuff.
What do you think?
Now that's gonna parlay. I'm sorry, but go. I'm gonna let you go ahead. The next one is gonna parlay into that. But go ahead, brother.
My bad. Oh no, I forgot you had a series of questions. But Diana, if you get a chance, I want to ask you what you think. If you know about, I know you do, but what you think about Think Media, their courses, and I know they're really super strategic about. And I know similarly, you're the same in the sense that really looking at the analytics as far as tailoring your videos to perform very well. I know you think that way, and I know Think Media does a lot of strategies with that. And I think they do courses as well. I was curious to your thoughts on just that in general, like really optimizing a video for the user experience relative to operating a YouTube channel like a business.
So fun fact, Think Media was my first client when I quit my job.
Nice.
So, and I was a student of theirs for a few years prior to. Nice. So I don't have any qualms about it because I'm a student and product of, obviously I have other coaches, mentors, you know, like Ray Edwards and stuff, but I'm product of everything that they teach, in the sense of, one, if you're going to be on a platform, so I do subscribe to and even promote to an extent, like some of the things that of what they're doing. So I support the teaching there. But as far as analytically looking at it, I think if you're only analytically looking at your content in that way, you miss out on the other half of you're dealing with human beings. And I think that's one of the misconceptions that people have about the Think Media brand and company, is that it's only analytics, it's only ranking, it's only strategic targeting and stuff in that sense. That's like, people are always going to be a part of the equation, because you have to know how to communicate. That's where, like I said, my mentor Ray Edwards, in the sense of copywriting, writing the words that sell, saying the words that sell, speaking, teaching the stuff that sells, like all of that stuff matters. You have to have both sides of it. So yes, understanding how the platform works, understanding how these metrics and how the implementation of like some of the stuff that they teach, like ranking a video on YouTube, all that stuff matters, but that's not the end all be all. Are you going to produce a piece of content that clearly communicates the solution to the pain point, or the frustration, or the interest, or the intrigue, the curiosity of the why somebody would click on the video? Do you understand those concepts? And if you don't, you'll get them, you'll attract them. You can even start out ranking a video and then it starts to go down. So it's two sides of that coin. So, but I think that's the one thing that people forget about and they stop paying attention to, is like how I rank, how I show up on the first page. You can publish the video, show up on the first page. That don't mean you're going to stay there. That don't mean people are going to, like, it's a process that has to do with the human element. So I agree with what they teach, but I think people forget that's not the only side of the coin. Like, you have to get the human aspect of that. And in my opinion, that's like understanding the elements that go into copywriting and stuff like that.
Nice. Sorry about that, Nick. You dropped the line.
No, hey, y'all. Hey, I'm just a placeholder. It doesn't say starring Nick Taylor. No, notice whose only people name is on this thing. Live with Diana, Gladney, and AM1. My name ain't on there. Y'all the stars. This rolls into the next question. What do you feel about increasing your footprint outside of YouTube?
Oh, so that opens up a can of worms, honestly, because I think you have, when people are just getting started, they hear like Gary Vee is like post everywhere 3 or 4 times a day. And people are like, man, how?
I ain't doing no 3 or 4 times a day.
You know, so
I ain't got the time. I ain't got the time.
Even with that aside, even if you could do and have the time and stuff like that, people are still like, I don't know if I agree with it, and they don't quite know why. And here's the perspective shift with that. I agree with being on YouTube, but so for some people, it's interesting, some coaching clients, I'm like, your platform right now is not YouTube. Depending on the who your target audience is and where they prefer to receive content 90% of the time, then go there. Not that you can't find a target audience on YouTube, but for some people that's not on YouTube. So spreading to go to other places, you may find stuff kick off on a different platform because that's where your people go. You got some people that their target audience prefers to communicate on Facebook. You have some now that prefer to communicate and see content on TikTok or LinkedIn or pick whichever one. So you always got like a primary and I think an associated or related secondary platform. But find out where the number one spot is for those people. Yes, you can build a content plan and all this extra other stuff on YouTube. That may be slower going for you, not because what you're doing isn't working, but simply because your people prefer to be on Instagram 90% of the time. That's where that's their jam. Yeah, they do come to YouTube sometimes for XYZ fill in the blank, but it may not be always. So that's what I think. It's like people assume it's only YouTube and then everything else. That may not be the case, because some people just 90% TikTok right now, and then they may go to Instagram and then they hang out a little bit on YouTube. So you got to figure out where your primary target audience is that you're trying to reach. Where do they hang out, and go be there?
Sure. Yeah. As I've been getting more into the YouTube thing and leveraging that, my mind just goes crazy and think of all these different platforms and utilizing those. And, you know, again, doing the kind of work I do, I think in terms of, I know I can build a particular asset, leverage it or part of it on one platform, bait people over into, let's say if I've posted something, a little teaser of something on Instagram or TikTok, bait people over to YouTube, because I know YouTube, or at least in my estimation, is one of the easiest monetization kind of workflows.
Yeah, YouTube's one of the best.
So seeing it, basically once I got a monetized channel, I was like, okay. And then there's people I've come up with over the years who I've seen monetize and go crazy out of this sector. Like, yeah, people making like millions, like ridiculous. And for me, it's about, you know, I want to offer something of real value, not just kind of some ratchet content or whatever. I've seen people, you know, make a lot of money off of what I would consider to be sort of mindless content. And not to hate on what they do and make their money, but it's not my route. I want to offer something of real world value that's like of benefit, that's not just mind numbing, because there's already enough of that. So I think I'm creative enough to do that. But yeah, baiting people from other platforms onto YouTube and then experimenting with Telegram, that's something I've been playing around with as well. The idea of, can I extract somewhat of a following from YouTube into some little siloed thing just for me, like how Telegram kind of is like a Facebook page, but just, you know, really isolated. So that's cool. Just having like the isolated group kind of concept. And then of course like Patreon or something like that. But the more I got serious with it, got monetized, and then came with this whole new brand thing, then it just changed my whole mindset about that. So I definitely like the idea of being across different platforms, because I know some people, I know like friends of mine here who have like really cool brands and different things. And I'm kind of consulting with them like, you have 20,000 on IG, you have 50,000 on IG, but then you have 50 on YouTube. I'm like, what part of the game is that? You hustling way backwards. You need to at least have a quarter of what you have on Instagram over on YouTube. You're leaving money on the table and reach. So
depends. Not all brands are created equal, you know, in the sense that some people's target audience is there. Their funneling system and the amount of time that it takes to acquire a lead to that person potentially checking out with them in some form or fashion, sometimes it's better. And sometimes it may not be about the following at all. It may be the brand deals back of it. That's why it's like I kind of chill on content and not have to worry about stuff. It's like the brand deals on the back end pay better. You know what I'm saying? In the sense that it's a faster way. It's the faster way to profit. And the content is doing its job just in not, you know, producing views and subscribers and the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, do it matter if it, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it depends on each individual person. But like I said, for some people, YouTube is not their end game or where their people are in a sense. So it is a slower growth process comparative to other platforms. So it just depends on where that target audience is, where they want to be communicated to. And one thing that I would say is it's not the loud minority in the sense of the dancing and the pointing or just like basically, I want to say it, like, I hate to say it, but it's like nothing content, like you said.
You ain't got to be P. Diddy in the background with the shiny thing on doing all the stuff. You ain't got to be
like
P. Diddy.
That may be the loud minority, but there's a lot of people from tax accountants to people talking about nonprofit stuff in the sectors and different things like that. You got NFTs and stuff that are actually giving real information, talking about branding and all these other things. Their primary thing might be Instagram, and that's where their people are. So it just depends. Not everybody's brand and not everybody's audience wants to make that transition because that's not where they prefer to live. So they want the meat someplace else. So I've seen it work on both sides.
Okay. I know you're running out of time. That's why I've cut out a whole bunch of stuff. And so I done cut it down to two. Podcasts, two questions. Podcasts versus pre-recorded videos versus live streaming.
On YouTube or in general?
On YouTube. I mean, in general, because podcasting, of course, I mean, that's a totally different thing. I know some people say podcasting is a waste of time to them. Some of them, you say, well, I use the audio from my YouTube live stream, from YouTube video, and I'll try to make a podcast out of that. Then I have some people that they'll make, I know you see it too, they'll make a pre-recorded video and get 1,000 views, and then they'll do a live stream on the same subject and only got 20 people, so which one seems to in this groove here that we're in, which one do you think would, should a person try all three? Because some people aren't live streamers. Some people aren't comfortable with engaging with people. I've seen people make beautiful pre-recorded videos. I mean, the overlays and this and that, it just be beautiful. Then they be on the live stream and they just, like I listen to y'all two, like all of us, you can tell we're used to talking to people because there's no,
go back to my first live streams, man. Go back to my first live. It was
They
tough.
were horrible. They were horrible.
Hey, it's the skid marks on a skateboard going down a hill. It was tough. It was rough. And so a couple things to answer the question. You said, should it be recorded videos, live streaming, or podcasting?
Well, I'll even stick it just live stream and pre-recorded. I'll even put the podcast and I'll put it off on the side.
Again, it's almost a bit too generic, because what is the end result goal for the kind of content that you're going to create? Is it more, most people, where they struggle with like a recorded, like you said, let's stick with your example. You do a recorded video, it does well. You do a live stream and you're not getting the same kind of results. The reason why sometimes is that a piece that people prefer, your target audience for that piece of content, they prefer that in a dedicated, give me the answer because I have something to do with it, or it's in the process of I need this step to go to the next step, which may be your next video. If it's not, most people have like open-ended, closed-ended content. If you're doing a video that in that specific thing, like I'm not going to do a whole live stream about memory cards. Not going to happen. Not in that respect.
You're going to have to throw in all kind of stuff. Yeah.
All they want to know is which one should I get for X, Y, and Z product. That's all they're trying to figure out. It's a close-ended conversation. However, in the result of the best accessories that the first 10 accessories, let's say, that you should invest in when you're first getting started, yes, that may be good as a video, but I also can do a live stream answering questions that are open-ended in those specific points in the video. If you're not doing an open-ended conversation of, is this the best X, Y, and Z, should you do, or I really disagree. It's like you're throwing gasoline on the fire. It's like, I think Jada was right. I think she was right. Not that that's not my real life statement, but it's like now people going to join just to disagree with you. You know what I'm saying? Yes. In that sense, because it's open for conversation, right? When you're doing something and you're already saying what everybody knows, and I'm not going to do a live stream and say why the ZV-E10 is the best one. I'm going to say, here's 3 other cameras that you should consider and not the ZV-E10 kind of a thing. And let's answer some of your questions about the comparison. So I'll group them together. What's the pros? What's the cons?
Don't make them Olympus people mad. Don't make them Olympus people mad.
I don't get the haters. I don't get the brand haters on my channel. I can honestly say I don't get brand haters on the channel. That's thankfully, I don't get the brand haters, but that's the thing though. Are you opening a conversation around something and let's have discussion around it? Because then they're more apt to do the live stream if they can trust you with their time. If they can't trust you with their time, or you're skipping comments, or you like not to bash anybody, but it is what it is. They be like, okay, we'll drop a super chat. If it's $10 or up, then I'll answer it, kind of a thing. So they like, well, I don't want to do that, you know, kind of aspect. If it's just a regular live stream, maybe it's too disjointed in the sense that it's like, you know what, I don't want to waste time with this. I'd rather either catch the replay so I can skip through, wait to see if you do a video about it, or just skip it all the way to begin with. So live streaming is a lot about trust. Can I trust you with my right now time because I can't get it back? So, you know what I'm saying? If you do a live stream a couple times or even a few times, yeah, ain't nobody watching because they don't know if they can trust you with their time. They and even the regular recorded videos, it's about a trust of time. Can I get through the video and not have to worry about skipping or going back or just like, oh, geez, like get to the point already. I watched somebody's videos reviewing a video, and it was like 3 minutes and 41 seconds before they got to the point. Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, so if I can't trust that in a 7-minute video and 3 minutes of this is a waste of time, almost 4, I don't know about a live stream because you may just be pushing it. I'm gonna wait for a few more people. Why? I'm here now. So a lot of that is about trust. So if people can't trust you, one, to show up consistently and to keep showing up, it's fun and engaging in the sense around whatever it is that you're talking about. And then number 3 is this open-ended or close-ended in the sense, like, is it something that actually for us to talk about? You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference when it comes like recorded and live. Aspect wise, in the sense of like performance and things. When I do something, and I'll say like, for example, M50 came out, Canon EOS R and RP came out. Here's why the M50 is better than those two options. And we're going to have a conversation because everybody feels some type of way about it. So analytically, it's interesting to the person that's searching, and the human relationship aspect of it is, I'm talking about something that may be frustrating. You wish they had did this release or wish they had added some features. You want to talk and you want to vent with somebody that understands and knows what you're talking about, or talk about this, talk about that. Those are those now fun and engaging. So they like, man, I can't wait for the next live stream. So now I don't live stream as much as I used to. The people like, when I do a live stream, they're like, man, I'm so glad to catch you live. Ain't nobody saying that if they can't trust you with their time though. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree. AM?
Yeah, no, I'm just soaking up the game, just in the sense of like, I'm kind of starting anew, so to speak. I mean, I have some experience with YouTube, so the more I'd look at leveraging this more. So if I'm going to do, the camera, motion graphic content, kind of AM1 creates work versus my new thing with the health and fitness stuff, I want to look at all these different strategies to make sure I can reach and talk to the people, gain that trust to be able to get a particular topic in, and just looking at the strategies of what works right relative to YouTube, the algorithm, the people. Make sure I'm addressing a pain point or I'm giving a solution. Obviously doing health related stuff for some people, it's aesthetic. Some people, it's just different layers to that. But just looking at being strategic about how I'm setting up the videos, getting to the point, respecting people's time, and then looking at how to pivot that back and forth. So it's kind of like I'm relearning, since I kind of came up in a sector where it's kind of a free for all to a certain degree. Now I'm kind of pivoting to a whole different sort of mindset algorithm, so to speak. So I got to deliver the content in a different way. So Diana, I appreciate that, because I'm just able to soak up game in a whole different way and really look at it where, the people element of it, but then the sort of business time element, because, I'm a technician about it, so to speak, is
for sure
video, motion graphic work, you have to be. So no, I'm just a sponge. So
the thing is, your audience will train you. You know what I'm saying? Your audience will teach you. The more that you're creating, they will teach you what they like and don't like. It was a couple people that made significant shifts that overall served the whole community. And again, learning to listen to the silent minority versus the loud majority. So, and it's like, and understanding when your people are commenting, like when you know that this is somebody that's your target audience, something about the content is repelling them. One guy said the audio's too low, and that was on me because at the time I was new. I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, hey man, I appreciate you saying that. I'm working on it. Let me know in the next video if I'm getting close to where you should be. Then I found that sweet spot of where all the audio can consistently be good, or where those levels should be at. Okay, that was one thing. Another person said, man, I love your stuff, but I just wish you would slow down around like the technical stuff, or you lose me when you get to the I'm like, okay, no music, no bunch of trends. Like we're getting into like analytical, like crop factors, and we like, okay, you got a 1.5 times crop on an APS-C. So when you add a 35 millimeter, it's not quite like, I'm not going to do that fast. Even though I may be excited, I have to recognize you're learning this.
Sure.
This sounds like Trig 2, in, you know what I'm saying, in school.
And that's the stuff I absorb. I mean, I already knew it, but I absorb it like that, you know. But some people ain't like that,
right? And so knowing when they get to this, because 80% of my audience, I take that back, 90% of my audience is male, and those men are people that were within 35 to 46. So number one, it's like I have to approach this as a woman, because they already kind of like, man, does she even know what she's talking about? You know what I'm saying? I have to deal with the fact that I'm not just a female, but that I'm a woman that's a creator in a tech space, already a minority. Now I'm black too, another minority. I got dreads. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, do you really know? So to know that I'm going to bring it in a sense that it's like, man, I watched, and this is those comments that you know that you've made adjustments and you've refined your content to the point that it's like you are now right in alignment with your people. Like, man, I watched this 1,000 times on a bunch of other channels. I watched this on channels that's way bigger. Nobody explained it like that, but paying attention to the small things. And so when you can make those adjustments to your target audience and know that it's like you're making changes that better suit them, now you know when you do a recorded video, it lands because it's really for them. Versus a live stream, we can chill. You know, you can trust my regular stuff. But on the live stream, yeah, let's talk about it. And I'll say if that's a regular recorded video that day, this ain't gonna be like a regular video. I'm ranting today, so if you're here for it, stick around. If not, I'll see you on the next one. You know what I'm saying? And like you'll hear sometimes, it's like, hey,
that's me.
We here for it today. And people will say, man, you held me like one other comment.
Yeah, you don't want to see my regular content. You don't want to look at my regular content.
You know, but you know, again, it's like you'll have like one guy. It's like held me for 10 straight minutes. Okay, that video was only 10 minutes and our audience retention was bomb.com, you know, on that particular video. But it's when you add all those elements up so that when you do a recorded video, it lands with the right people. So if you do a live stream and you're new to all of this, your people already trust you from your regular stuff. So if they couldn't make the live, now they're going to be mad that they missed it. You know what I'm saying? Versus like, I don't care if they live or not.
Yeah, that's what I get. And I know y'all gonna get out of here. That's your last thing. And I'm getting out of y'all hair because I know y'all got stuff to do. And you can see it there and I'll let y'all take it.
Yeah, we kind of already addressed this, but I'll be curious.
Oh, y'all did?
Diana thinks about this. I mean, similarly, but.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I find it interesting that people who are Clubhouse, 34, 50,000 followers, but trying to migrate over to YouTube and are failing catastrophically. What do I think? The thing is, these people that are on Clubhouse are there for a reason. They can keep washing the dishes. They don't have to worry about, like if they're producing content, they don't have to worry about so much so audio quality. That was one of the cool things that Clubhouse introduced was that low barrier to entry. Hear people closing the freezer door, bag of peas fall on the ground or something, you know, like literally all kinds of stuff, baby rattling the, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was low barrier to entry.
I'm a snob. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't.
But for those people, that's what they needed. They wanted community without all the excess of the audio tech. So they're following a specific vibe for a reason. So you saying now I got to go to something that's primary visually. Maybe they don't have a YouTube premium account. They ain't, you know, so I'm not going to pay just so I can still listen to what I wanted to listen to already anyway. So if that migration, again, who is the person that you're trying to redirect them to, they ain't over there for a reason. So it's just really about understanding the target audience, what they want and how they prefer to be communicated to, and understanding the why that is. They may not want to be on YouTube. They just trying to listen while they cut the grass, listen while they work, not necessarily have to worry about watching anything. Or it's like, hey, on the screen, we're going to put an example of the such and such, you know, like, no, they just want to listen and chill, whatever, or engage in that way. So it just depends on the audience.
I don't do Clubhouse. I
still haven't.
I don't do Twitter. Twitter banned me before they banned President Trump. So they did. They kicked me. I gave him the blueprint of how to get kicked off of Twitter. They didn't. No one ever disputed no one said you weren't telling the truth. We just don't like it. Okay. We're dealing with feelings, but I'm not gonna get to that. Y'all, any closing statements from either one of you guys? We gotta do this again. I like this. Even though we do stream, he and I, we didn't stream together, me, him, and Cova. Hey, you know Cova mad, right? You know Cova mad. He wish he could be here.
He missed out.
Diane Gladney. Oh, hell no. But he don't get off work until late, you know, at night. So
hey man, when I worked the job, I'd log out. I just died where you been. I had an interview. I'm not even joking. Be in the car, Whitney Houston, lip sweat, and just be like, yeah, you know, joining, trying to do the best to just make sure the audio don't move.
Happen,
yeah,
right?
I'm telling you.
Yeah, but I think we need that. We can, if it's cool with y'all, we can do this again, because I'll just save these other questions. 5 things a new streamer need and should have or shouldn't have. Remote collaborations up due to COVID and increasing the digital. I mean, because
I'll put it to you. I'll put it to you like this. It's like, it's funny. A lot of the things we talked about today, and then some other stuff. Like I said, I've been sharing this more on Twitter than anything else. It's like writing this book on content creation. I don't want to put no date on it, but I'm hoping like 90 days out, this book is going to be seeing the light of day here in a minute, but it's going to be on content creation. So a lot of that stuff will be in there. But it's just important, I think, don't get caught up in the best of such and such, the best for whatever. If you're going to invest in stuff, invest in a system of equipment. Invest in an audio system that serves what you're trying to do. If you're going to invest in a camera, invest in a video equipment and system that serves what you're trying to do. Then that way you're not spot buying every new thing that somebody uploads or talks about or whatever, even including me. You're not spot buying stuff because it may not be right for the system of what you're trying to do to create. So I think that's the biggest thing. Invest in a system, and is that piece or that gear that you're trying to get, does it fit what you're trying to do natively in a system, or is it just going to be some wild card kind of a thing that you got that you don't really connect to anything right?
I agree.
You know, I'm appreciative of this, Nick. Of course, Diana, definitely dope to do a stream with you. So I'm over here geeks, like, yeah. So it's like I said, my different sort of sectors are conversion. I spend a lot of time on YouTube very intentionally with the content that I consume and use this thing to learn a lot. It's really shaped my life. So yeah, it's really like a part of my growth as a creator and the kind of work that I do in the real world, and now stretch my legs in digital space. So just coming full circle. So super dope to be able to do a stream with a creator like yourself. Very impressed with your work. Been following you for a while. So yeah, huge honor. Super dope.
We'll do it again. I mean, if I'll reach out to her again.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll reach out to her again. I mean, because you know how it is when your first time, you know, with people, even though I watch your content, you respond back to me when I comment and say whatnot. But, and he knows me. So I figure, you know, it's, you know, you get that one out of the way and then the rest kind of, you know, it makes it kind of easy.
We can put something on the calendar.
Well, let me say one other thing. For the content creators in this sector that a lot of the people watching this know me and Nick from, definitely make sure you are sub to Diana, because she's come with the book. I remember seeing one of your videos. You said, I'm glad I can type as fast as I can think. So you're working on the book. So for anybody looking to get more into content creation, that's something I just try to push more people into. Or if not content relative to digital online, then pick up a camera and go out into the real world and do it as well.
Grab a camera, get out there, get a camera and a microphone and go out.
I want to make sure that people watching this video, the replay live or replay, understand the level of value that we've been blessed with to have Miss Gladney here. So I just want to make sure we drive that point home.
And I spam your content on mainly on my other channel, because I'm trying to get all my tech stuff over to the other channel, away from
trying to do
this channel.
This stuff over.
This is the rough and tumble channel. This is, you know, where we be going at it channel. But I'm trying to, even though, but I'm really I'm a techie at heart. You know what I mean? I've always been a techie from my IBM XT-AT days. You know, I mean, I'm Mosaic web browser days. I'm a techie at heart, but I'm trying to. But anyway, but this is great. I appreciate you coming. We're gonna there's the man right there, Brother X, the prophet of thought. That is the man, the myth, the living legend right there. That is the man. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming.
My pleasure.
Diane, we have set something up, I guess, later on. Her digital assistant, dude, that thing is brutal. I mean, her digital assistant, like, your time is this. Pick a time. Pick it. And I'm like, okay. And okay, dang.
It's
no,
like,
I like
the thing
it.
is,
Though.
it's like,
I like it. I like it.
Especially on days that I have a lot of back-to-back interviews. It's tough because we'll have like the closing out, and then you have people that want to ask questions afterwards. And it's like, if I have another show scheduled right after, it's like, we got to make sure
you gotta go. You gotta go. I get it.
It's like, I'd rather give and say, like, again, it's like, yeah, I can, it's like, let's go another 30 minutes. I'm good. The buffering it. I'd rather give at that point versus saying like, oh yeah, whatever, we'll see what happens. And then it's like 3 hours later and it's like, yeah, I can't do that. So it's like about honoring,
I'm a sheriff's department contractor. At any moment, I got, you know what I mean? That's where I get my video part, because I also video film accident scenes and all this. Got all the cameras set up and whatnot, different angles of the camera, and that's render it and software. DaVinci Resolve. I don't give a damn. I know he talking that Adobe stuff. I ain't paying him no attention. Forget him. DaVinci Resolve, damn it. But hey, that's another ongoing thing. DaVinci versus Adobe. That's always. But we can, I'd like to get in all that. Get all that stuff there, but I'll probably more than likely be streaming it from my other channel. Whether I'm just going to take this and put it over there, you know what I mean? Because it hasn't built up yet. I'm gonna leave it here, but I'm also put it over there. But I look forward to the next one. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. I appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am. And dude, I'll deal with you later. I mean,
you already know. Nick, you already know.
Already.
I'm just over here like, thank you, Diana, Nick, whatever. I'll talk to you.
Yeah,
whenever.
and that's
Nick,
what I'm doing.
Whatever.
Like,
and don't take another plate home, eating up all the ribs. It's like, yeah, you don't get no spare plate. It's like, so.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm like, thank you, Diane. But AM, I'll talk to you later. Yeah. But thank you. I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thanks all y'all for coming out, and leave a like, leave a share the content, subscribe to Diane Gladney, subscribe to AM1 if you haven't already, and leave your comments below. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.